With several weeks spent living and traveling in this car camp setup, I thought it was due time to make a little walkthrough video of the setup, what the pros and cons are, and basically how I did it and how it operates. So let's jump right on in. Let's just start with the boring stuff. This is a 2010 Toyota Highlander Limited, and unfortunately it is a front wheel drive. I tried to get all wheel drive, but I just needed this car really quickly and couldn't find that. So it is front wheel drive, and because of that, I got the best tires I could find, which are the Michelin Cross Climates. But besides that, this car works great. It's a V6, gets me where I need to go, and most importantly, it's long enough inside so I can lay down completely and fit all my things. If you've seen the build out of my previous car, you'll notice it is quite similar. The basics are still there, but I definitely made some modifications to make this one significantly better. So in terms of the build, first of all, I completely gutted the car, so took out all the seats, took out completely everything, and just started from scratch. And from there, I put in a base platform to basically build everything on top of, which also gave me a garage underneath to store a bunch of my things, which I'll show you later. On top of that platform, I built this big divided box with lots of different storage compartments, so I'll show you those different ones and how they operate and work. And then in addition to that, on top of the platform as well, on the other side is this dresser and storage unit for all sorts of clothes and batteries and food and miscellaneous things. So that's the basics for the build. If we look specifically at my dresser build here, you can see we have two levels. On the top, I have my shirts, underwear, and socks, and then my power system. And then below that, I have larger items, so like towels and pants and shorts and various things like that. So two levels of storage, and it's connected to the bottom platform. If we look on the left side here, I have a bunch of storage. So this is my dresser unit. It's attached to the bottom and the sides. I've notched it in here, and on the back I have some hooks for a kind of closet for my jackets and such, which works really nicely. And then in front of that, I have a spot for all my toiletries, which is sitting here, and it isn't my favorite thing. They rattle around a lot, but it is a nice, concise place to have them, which is really easy to access. And then below that, we have my fridge, which I can get to relatively easily here, but unfortunately, I have my bike wheel in front of it because it literally doesn't fit anywhere else, so that's where it is for now. I should also note that behind these jackets, I built in this little wood paneling to stop any dirty laundry and other clothes from falling out, so it works pretty well. I've also secured my power bank through the back so it doesn't shift while driving. So if we open up the right side, this is how I access my bed. As you can see, I have a little stepping platform right here, which is really nice, but on top I have my bed, my pillow, and then the storage unit, the bottom platform, and then underneath a bunch of miscellaneous storage for stuff that I just kind of like shove in there that I don't use all the time. So works pretty well. So this mattress is a huge improvement from my previous build. First of all, it's a lot wider and longer, so I actually fit out lengthwise, can stretch out. And secondly, it's a tri-fold mattress. It's a nicer foam quality, so I think it's 4 inches and it's pretty dang comfy, I have to say. On top of it, because it is winter, I have a 0-degree quilt, which keeps me very nice and toasty inside the car to low temperatures. And then I just have some normal sheets and a pillow, and yeah, really can't complain. It feels like a bed. But the really cool thing is what happens when we fold back the mattress. So when I move the mattress out of the way, you can see I have storage for all sorts of things in here, which is so cool. If I open this up, you can see I have tons of room in here. If I open up this one, even more storage for things that I just don't access that often. And it is so nice to have this additional space. It just gives me so many more options to bring more things, and I love it. So that hidden storage and the garage storage underneath it was an absolute game changer for me because I bring so much equipment, and if it's not hidden, it really gets in the way. So for example, I have all my climbing gear, all my backpacking gear hidden underneath there, my tents, my sleeping bags, my hammock. In the back, I have my ski poles, my ice axe, my crampons, my bike on the top, ski boots underneath, all sorts of different things. So if everything doesn't have a place, it gets really out of hand. Now, the one major downside to that elevated bed platform with the storage underneath is that I can't sit up in the car or even close to it. And you might be thinking, like, just get rid of that bed platform, put a rocket box on the top, store all your gear up there. And that is a really good point, and I really did think about it, but then that wouldn't allow me to have a cook setup in the back, which is pretty essential for me. And let me walk you through it. All right, so here's a look at the back of the car. First of all, I have this nice old climbing hex, which is my handle for this drawer, which is on 50-pound drawer slides. It's a nice improvement, makes it slide really nicely. To hold this cook drawer in place, I have an RV latch, which just clicks in really nicely and makes sure it doesn't move while I'm driving or if I open it on an incline, which is great. And basically, I just open this up. On the top, I have a hinge, a top level, and underneath, I just have tons of storage for all my cook stuff. So that's pretty much the deal there. And then on the right side, I have a compartment that's perfect for my skis, ice axe, poles, all that good stuff. On the left side, I have my water jug, which I think is 2.5 gallons, and it lasts me for a couple days. I have some more food storage, a pot over there, and then hanging from my dresser, I have some more miscellaneous food items like salt, pepper, and olive oil, so I can access that quickly while I'm cooking. Okay, so now I wanna walk you guys through my cook setup and how I kind of operate. It's not perfect, but this is how I do it. So I first start off by opening up this drawer here and taking out all of the things that I need, because if I forget and I start cooking on top of here, I have to take everything off and it's a huge pain. So I try and get it right the first time. All right, so for this meal, I'm gonna need a plate, a pan, a cutting board, lighter. I'm just gonna set it all up here. And then I'm gonna need a knife as well. Might as well get the paper towels out and some gas and a can opener. Can't forget the can opener. And I think that's it. I think we're good here. And now I'm gonna grab my stove out, which fits very nicely right in here, but it is a big pain that I have to set it up every single time I wanna use it. So that's definitely a downside. I wish I had a way that it could just set in the car ready to go all the time, but it's not really that bad. It just takes a little bit of fumbling around. I'm just gonna come over to my side door here, reach over my tire, and come in here and grab these zucchini and this cheese. And I think that's it. And yeah, all this just kind of sits up on the bed, but now I'm gonna grab the cutting board, and I usually put it just on the stove right here. It's a really nice work surface. And now I just start chopping. So first up, I got some onion here. Turn that bad boy on, get the pan on here, and I'm gonna grab some olive oil. Put this in here, like so, and then add in this onion. And now I'm gonna cut up a little bit of zucchini here. The #1 name of the game when you're out here dry camping without a sink is less dishes or no dishes. So I usually just avoid using spoons and I don't know, just try and use as little as possible. And I almost forgot my favorite part of this whole setup pretty much is that I can just hang a trash bag right from this hook here. So it's just hanging there, and so I can just put everything right in while I'm cooking, so really handy. And I've got some salt and pepper right over here, so let's just add a little bit in. Gotta have your seasonings, you know. I'm making a weird kind of meal here, but basically it's a form of pizza. Oh baby, now we're talking. Oh yeah. All right, so I think this looks pretty good. Just gonna transfer these over to my plate very nicely, and we'll see if they're any good. All right, so that's a run through on my Highlander build out for camping. It's not perfect by any means, but it gets the job done and does pretty much everything I need it to do. Obviously, a van would be nicer and I'd have more room to move around, and definitely my biggest gripe with this setup in general is just that I can't sit up inside or move around very easily or cook inside. But besides that, I fit lengthwise, the bed is comfortable, I can cook in it, and I can access everything I need to access quite easily. So, I mean, you can't complain. You gotta work with what you have. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of how this build came out. It definitely wasn't easy. There were a lot of weird shapes and angles inside of the Highlander once I took all the seats out, but it came together pretty nicely, and it's taken me some cool places. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.